Welcome to episode 35 of the POG Show, the City of Port Orange's news and information podcast. I'm your host, Mike Springer, the Public Information Officer for Port Orange. And with these episodes, we'd like to really help people understand a little bit more about the city, its processes, and what it does. So today we're going to talk about a very popular topic that everybody has on their mind, paving and roads. So to do that, to learn a little bit more about that process, I have Richard Colby here, our construction manager, who helps lead a lot of these paving projects that we see here in the city. So, Richard, welcome.
Thank you.
And you've been with the city for about a decade now, right?
Correct. About 10 years.
What are some of the different roles you've had over that time?
I've been construction inspector, and project manager, and now I'm construction manager.
And that's when you talk about construction, this is everything from whether we're building an actual facility to roads and sidewalks. What would that kind of entail when you say construction?
I cover water, sewer, drainage, construction of roads, construction of buildings.
So below the ground, above the ground, if
Correct.
it's being built, you're having some kind of say or input into that process here in the city.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So when it comes to roads, I know a lot of people always wonder, how do those roads get selected? How do you choose which road gets paved and when? What is typically the process that we go through with the city to determine which roads are going to be paved and kind of develop a schedule? Is there a schedule?
Yes, we create a schedule, and it's in 3 parts. Okay, number of years ago, a study was done of the roads in the city and graded. Okay, we use that. We listen to our citizens when they call in and tell us their road is falling apart, or etc. I actually pay attention to that. And third part is I'll go out and look and assess the road. And if it's bad enough, I can get it on next year's paving list. So you figure the citizens are out there, they see roads all the time. I don't have that kind of time to ride looking at roads, and I don't think they want to pay me to ride and look at roads.
And there's a lot of roads too in the city, I'm sure, you know,
Yes,
and not all of them are ours either. So
Correct.
some of them we can't necessarily fix.
Correct.
You know, so what are the big ones that the city has, and what are some of the ones that, while they're large roads, may not be ours, where we can go in and do any actual maintenance on?
We got Madeline, that belongs to us. We paved that this year. Willow Run, we paved that section that was in terrible condition. Town West was in dire need of being reconstructed. We repaired that road.
And so those are, you know, 3 major roads here. We're talking about Town West, Willow Run, and Madeline. Those are 3 major city roads.
Correct.
When you're talking about repaving them, what does that process look like? Are we going in and kind of just patching areas that have maybe potholes, or are we kind of ripping off the whole road and then repaving it? What's the process that we're going through when we're repaving those roads there, when you're talking about Madeline, Willow Run, and Town West, that project there?
We make an assessment of the road and the condition of the road, and we bring into consideration traffic, what kind of traffic, how much traffic, and that leads to, okay, how much asphalt do we mill out and put back in? We prefer to do a whole road, not just patches, because it just comes out so much better. Madeline, we milled 4 inches out of that road and put 4 inches of what we call, heavy pavement section in it. So that road will last longer now. Same with Town West. Town West gets a lot of traffic, heavy truck traffic. We took that into consideration when we did Town West.
So how long do the roads typically last down here? I know you're from New Hampshire originally, so you have to deal with a lot of that, ice and expansion there that can cause those cracks in the road. Here we don't really have that, but we do have the heat to deal with. When you're putting down the asphalt and the materials here, what's the lifespan of one of those jobs here, like Madeline or Town West? How long can something like that last before we have to go in and either patch it or do a full repave?
The way we repaved Town West, will get 15 to 20 years out of that. We did the heavy-duty pavement section.
And just because of the materials we're using and all that too?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we use the middle of there's 3 grades of pavement, and we use the middle one, which is heavier than what you would use in a residential subdivision. There's a bigger aggregate in it, so it makes it stronger.
And when you're talking about Town West, Madeline, Willow Run, those are three major roads in the city. Is that why those were the ones focused on this year, just because of their usage, or how did those three get selected as the ones that were going to be
their
the focus?
Condition stood out. They were terrible condition. A lot of patches they were falling apart. And so we, like I said, beefed them up when we rebuilt them to withstand the traffic.
And then with these roads, you talk about kind of the process in terms of determining them. It comes to the grade of the road. It comes to kind of issues citizens may bring to your attention in terms of the roads that they may call about the most. So what's kind of coming up next on our list? Do we have any roads scheduled for the next fiscal year to start looking at, or are we still formulating that list, or what's happening now for next year?
We have a list put together for fiscal year 2025 already, along with striping. But it's tentative.
Yeah.
It can change.
What can you share some of the roads you're looking at maybe for next year at this point, or is it too soon?
I'm looking over on the Orange Ave area. That's the older part of town. That area, there's another section in Willow Run subdivision to do. Those are probably the two biggest.
And I know you mentioned, grading, calls from citizens help determine which roads we do, but also budget too, right? We don't.
Yes, we don't have an endless budget. No.
So how much money do we typically have a year to spend on roads, and where does it come from?
Anywhere from $600,000 to $800,000. It depends on what we get from the gas tax money.
Okay, so our roads, if we're gonna get funding to pave them, this is all
come from the gas
tax,
correct.
And you're looking at $600,000 to $800,000 annually, give or take, depending on the gas tax revenue.
Correct.
So I know a lot of prices have changed in the last 18 months or so. How much do you get out of $800,000 for paving? How much, or how many miles of road does that get you to pave?
I go as far as I can.
But would we get like a city block, or kind of typically?
Yeah, we can get more than a city block.
Yeah. So maybe a mile or so.
Or a couple of miles.
Couple of miles. So, but you're limited though. So you're only getting about a couple of miles with that. So
Correct.
Without raising additional funds through either taxes or additional gas tax revenue, that's kind of where the limit would be, is just maybe a couple of miles per year to get done until the funding.
And that's part of what we do at engineering. We go in and we will measure up the road and calculate how many tons it's going to take to do that road. That's how we know how many roads we can do, is just do the calculations.
How many next year are you hoping to do? I know you mentioned Orange Ave. We're looking at like same ballpark figure, around 3 to 4-ish roads next year, or what's kind of?
Oh, I've got a list of probably 10 roads.
10 roads that you could. Are they more the primary roads, like the Willow Runs, or are we looking at a lot of secondary roads within the neighborhoods themselves and such? Okay. And
hopefully, 2026, I would like to do a section of Spruce Creek Road that belongs to us, that needs to get done. Basically from Commonwealth all the way to Dunlop.
I'm glad you brought up Spruce Creek, because there's a lot of major roads here that, don't belong to us, or only portions belong to us.
Correct.
I just, from what I've heard, a lot of calls and messages I've seen about roads people have the most questions about with paving tend to be Dunlawton, Williamson, Taylor, Nova, as kind of those primary, and Clyde, and those are not city roads.
Correct. They are not our roads.
So when we get those calls, some of those are state, some of those are county. What do we do on our end to kind of make sure those messages get to the right agencies and partners so they can look at those roads?
I will direct the caller to the right agency. They call them us.
And how are they at, the state and the county? Are they pretty good at working with us when we bring up concerns and questions regarding those roads? Are they willing to help us sometimes?
Yes.
Guide those people in the right direction? Okay. What do you think is maybe one of the biggest things people don't understand or know about our paving process here that you think they can learn from?
It's the $1 million question you always get is, how soon can I drive on it? And typically it's About 2 hours after we pave it and roll it, you can drive on it.
So it's able to seal that quickly within
Yes.
about.
And what we did this year hasn't been done in the past. We paved during the cooler part of the year. So when we did a residential neighborhood, people back out of their driveway, they turn that wheel and it tears the mat because it hasn't set up and it takes it too long to set up in the heat. We went to paving in the cooler weather and we didn't have one road to get scarred this year.
So is that another thing you have to factor in when you're doing these jobs is when to do them? You know,
Correct.
whether you do them in the winter or the spring or the summer.
We do it the engineering. Yes, we do. We'd rather pave in the cooler weather. Crews like it too.
I'm sure, yeah. Being out there on those hot blacktops is probably not, yeah. And then what about traffic patterns? You know, I know, especially when we're talking about a large road, whether it's Willow Run, Madeline, you're probably going to have to close lanes intermittently to get the work done for the crews to pave. How do you decide when to do that? Is there an ideal time to do the work without, you know, because you're dealing with the factors of the weather. You know, you're dealing with the factors of people who have to come and go through those neighborhoods to get to work, to get to school, to get home. And then also you want to be courteous of people who may be living near those neighborhoods that are sleeping at night. So what is the ideal time to do it? Is it mornings? Is it midday? Is it night?
During the day, we'll have an MOT set up, maintenance of traffic. And we always try to keep at least one lane open. We might have a flagger at either end with their paddles to stop and go.
Yeah, and I'm sure getting that information out there is key too, because people
Yes,
are
it
aware
is.
of those detours. They can
Yes.
hopefully either avoid them if possible. For all
Right.
people, it may not be possible because they may have to go in that area for whatever it is, their business or their home. But getting that information out with those MOT signs that you mentioned, you know,
As you're well aware, I mean, you were really helpful this year in getting the word out to people. They knew ahead of time that we were going to be paving. They would just avoid us.
which I'm sure makes the job easier because now
Yes,
you guys aren't
it
getting
really
interrupted.
does
and
make
they
the
can-
job easier. So, yeah, you were really helpful this year.
And you know, again, you guys are trying to do whatever you can to minimize that inconvenience, you know,
Correct.
because you want to make sure that impact is as minimal as possible to people, that disruption is as minor as you can make it. And these are large roads, so it's tough to eliminate that fully.
Yeah, it is.
Anything else about roads or even what about sidewalks? Do you deal at all with sidewalks around?
I'm not dealing with the sidewalks right now.
Okay.
That's another department.
Gotcha. But if people have questions about roads or if they want to see their road be looked at or paved, what's the process? How do they do that and get that road looked at?
My phone's always on. They can call me anytime. And I do listen. I will write down the name of the road and I'll go look at it.
And I'm sure you get all the see, click, fix messages too that
Yes,
come in
correct.
as well.
I get those
yeah.
and I answer those as best I can.
Well, yeah, that's just a free, for people who may be listening and unaware, just a free app on our website. You know, if you go there it's the thing, it's on the website's homepage under concerns. You click on that, it takes you to see, click, fix, and there's a link there, and you could discuss anything, whether it's roads or sidewalks or drainage or trash. Any problem you have, you could type in a message, and some department should receive that message and respond to it. Well, Mr. Colby, anything else you want to get out there or say? I mean, you deal with the roads a lot. Any misconceptions about roads or traffic you think you'd like to share with people out there to help them understand the process a little bit better?
Best thing for them to do, they know we're going to pave a road, go around us.
Yeah.
The less traffic we have to deal with, the quicker we'll get it done.
Yeah. How long do these, like Willow Run, Madeline, how long do those projects take typically? Are we talking weeks, months? How long would a project?
Weeks.
Yeah.
Take a week. The really big roads like those in Town West took us a week to mill it out and pave it back. Because we pave it back, I mean, you pave 4 inches, you can't do all 4 inches at once. You can only do 2 inches at a time.
Just because you have to let it set kind of.
Let it
cure a
set,
little?
and you got to get the compaction right in the pavement. And you get a much better job when you do it.
So yeah, just it's a little bit of an inconvenience for that week, but afterwards you're looking at a brand new road.
Your brand new road, rides better and more pleasing on the eye. And Town West, I got looking at Town West when we restriped it. I don't know how many people realize that I didn't put the original striping back in.
Oh, we modified that.
Yeah, I added a bike lane on both sides.
Oh.
True bike lane. They're 5 feet.
So now cyclists can go down that road and have a safe space to travel without to worry about cars.
This is correct.
Great.
Because I used to see cyclists on that road all the time, and I said, wow, that's got to be wide enough. I got out there and got playing with my measuring stick, and I could do it.
Do you do that a lot with the roads here where you see if it's maybe beneficial to add a bike lane or an extra turn lane or something?
Yes.
Is this the time when you would look at that?
Or make a turn lane longer. Yes, I do.
Are there any turn lane changes you're looking at coming up in the next year or two that we could expect for traffic here coming up?
I understand community development's working on a couple of right turn lane projects.
Okay. So that'd be something you'll be involved in as that
I'll
kind
get
of gets a little
involved
bit
eventually, yeah.
further down the road
Yes.
there. No pun intended, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mr. Colby, I appreciate you taking the time here to talk to us and
You're welcome.
help us learn a little bit more about our roads and our paving process here. So thank you, sir, for taking the time. We appreciate it. And Mick, take us on out.